Hello and welcome to the session 2 of the Important Sites series, where we will be discussing about the important sites in the states of Madhya Pradesh. In the previous session, on the previous video, we have discussed, in the previous slide, we have discussed the important sites in Madhya Pradesh. That is, we have discussed about the biosphere reserves and the national parks. In today's session, we will be discussing, in today's live session, we will be discussing the remaining important heritage sites and the environmental sites that are in the state of Madhya Pradesh. So, discussing the first, now we'll discuss the biodiversity heritage sites that are in the state of Madhya Pradesh. So, biodiversity heritage sites are declared under the Biological Diversity Act of 2002, and the first one is the Narrow Hills Biodiversity Heritage Site. It is situated in the northeast part of the Madhya Pradesh, is situated in the Satna district and lies in the Vindhyan Hill ranges. The geographical features of this include: it is characterized by the undulating terrain, the rocky outcrops, and the shallow soil steeps in the dry deciduous ecological zone. The region has fragile geological formation and the limited water availability. So when we discuss about these important environmentally important sites, so we have to discuss five things or five areas we have to lay special focus. First is the location. Second is the geographical features. Third is the vegetation. Fourth is the important flora or fauna species that are found in that particular area. Fifth is the significance, including the cultural significance, if any. And in cultural significance, we talk about the important tribal groups or the tribal population living in the particular area. Now, this Narrow Hills Biodiversity Heritage Site, the type of vegetation here is the dry deciduous forest with open woodland character. So it is a relatively drier region. It supports xerophytic vegetation and is rich in medicinal and endemic plant species. The important species, the mammals here include the tiger, leopard, fox, wildcat, bear, sambar, nilgai, langur, jackal, and hare. The bird includes the peacock, owl, and other dryland bird species. The reptiles are common here are snakes and lizards, which are found in the rocky or the dry terrains. Now, talking about the significance of this Narrow Hills Biodiversity Heritage Site, so it was notified as a Biodiversity Heritage Site (BHS) in 2019 under the Biological Diversity Act of 2002. All the other protected areas are classified or designated or notified under the Wildlife Protection Act, but the biodiversity heritage sites, they are notified under the Biological Diversity Act of 2002. It has high floral diversity with several medicinal and endemic plants. It is important for conservation of dry deciduous ecosystem and holds cultural and ecological value for local communities. The local tribal communities use the traditional ecological knowledge for plant-based remedies and conservation. And the important tribal community here is the Gonds. Now, discussing the second biodiversity heritage site, we have the Patalkot or Patalkot Biodiversity Heritage Site. It is situated in the Tamya Tehsil, Chhindwara district of Madhya Pradesh. So, it lies in the central and southern part of the state of Madhya Pradesh. It lies in a horseshoe-shaped valley spread approximately 79 square kilometer elevations between the 2750 to 3250 feet, that is 800 to 900 meters. The Dudhi River flows through this deeply forested valley. So the important geographical feature is the Dudhi River and deepest valleys. It is one of the deepest valleys in Madhya Pradesh. It is surrounded by the Vindhya Satpura hill ranges. So the geographical features include the Vindhya Satpura hill range and the Dudhi River. The geological formation consists of the Archean rocks overlain by the Gondwana sediments. So this entire region, this entire central region of India, it was part of the Gondwana land, and the geological formations or the geological findings in the area point to that direction. Now the type of vegetation here includes the tropical dry deciduous forest, which adapted to the valley microclimate. It is rich in medicinal flora, including rare bryophytes, pteridophytes, and angiosperms. It has over 200 to 300 species of medicinal plants. The fauna includes the typical dry deciduous forest wildlife like the sambar, nilgai, langur, gaur, fox, jackal, hare, smaller wild cats, and others. The significance is that it was notified as a biodiversity heritage site in the year 2019. and this was under the Biological Diversity Act, the Biodiversity Act. The tribal group here are the Bharia tribe reside here, that is known as the Bhumia or the lords of the soil. They are designated the particularly vulnerable tribe group. So the Bharia tribe, or that is a PVTG, inhabits or resides in the region of the Patalkot Biodiversity Heritage Site. The Bharias possess the indigenous knowledge of local medicinal plants. Traditional healers use them for treating ailments like diabetes, hypertension, snake bites, and other issues. The valley is emerging as a model for tribal-led wellness tourism and ecological conservation. The state government of Madhya Pradesh has granted the habitat rights to the Bharia tribe. So here, the Bharia tribe is very important for linking with the Patalkot Biodiversity Heritage Site. Now, third biodiversity heritage site we have is the Amarkantak Biodiversity Heritage Site. So it is situated in the Amarkantak Plateau, as the name suggests, which is at the confluence of the Vindhya, Satpura, as well as the Maikal range in the Anuppur district of Madhya Pradesh. So it is in the Anuppur district, and it lies at the confluence of the Vindhyan ranges, the Satpura ranges, and the Maikal range, which are actually in the Satpura range. So it has an elevated plateau. So this is situated on the Amarkantak Plateau. The Amarkantak Plateau is a elevated plateau with the lateritic soils. So the geographical feature here is the soil, that is the lateritic soil. It acts as a watershed for three major rivers, that is Narmada, Son, and the Johila River. It forms the part of the Maikal Hills, which connect the Satpura and the Eastern Ghats ecosystem. So Maikal Hills are a part of the Satpura, and they form a transition zone or a connecting zone between the Satpura ecosystem as well as the Eastern Ghat ecosystem. It is surrounded by forests, sacred groves, and culturally important river origins like the Narmada River. Narmada River rises from this Amarkantak Plateau. Then the type of vegetation, it is dominated by the tropical moist and the dry deciduous forest. And the important plant species here includes the bryophytes, ferns, and orchids. Excuse me. The fauna here includes the tiger, leopard, Indian gaur, sloth bear, chetal, sambar, four-horned antelope or the chausinga, and the wild boar. It has rich bird population, the bird diversity, as well as the reptilian as well as the amphibian biodiversity. Now, the significance is that it was declared a biodiversity heritage site for its unique landscape, watershed value, and rich biodiversity. It is part of the Achanakmar Amarkantak Biosphere Reserve, which is a UNESCO heritage site. So, this Amarkantak Biodiversity Heritage Site forms a part of the larger Achanakmar Amarkantak Biosphere Reserve. This Achanakmar Amarkantak Biosphere Reserve spread across two states, that is Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh, and is recognized under the UNESCO's Man and Biosphere Program. It is known for its origin of the sacred Narmada River, and it is home to tribal communities such as the Baiga, the Gond, and the Kanwad, who maintain traditional ecological knowledge, especially related to the medicinal or the herbal medicine. So the important tribal groups are the Baija, the Gonds, as well as the Kanwads. Next, after discussing the three biodiversity heritage sites in the state of Madhya Pradesh, now we discuss the Ramsar wetland sites in the states. So the important Ramsar wetland sites are the Bhoj wetland site. So it is situated in the city of Bhopal in Madhya Pradesh and comprises of the two lakes, upper lake that is known as the Bhojtal lake and the lower lake. The upper lake is a man-made lake built in the 11th century by the Raja Bhoj, creating by damming the Kolans river. The lower lake is created in the 18th century as hydrologically connected to the upper lake. So these both are the man-made lakes. The first lake, that is the upper lake or the Bhojta lake, was built by the Raja Bhoj in 11th century. That is around 1,000 years back, and it was made by damming of the Kolans river. The second lake, the lower lake, is built in the 18th century. That is around 250-300 years back, and it is hydrologically connected to the upper Bhojta lake. Both lake forms the Bhoj wetland, approximately 32 square kilometer area. The lakes are bordered by the urban areas on one side and the natural forested area, including the One Vihar National Park on the other side. So on one side of the lakes, we have the One Vihar National Park that we have discussed about yesterday, and on the one side we have the urban landscape of the Bhopal city. Now, the type of vegetation here includes, it is the aquatic vegetation because it is a wetland. The wetland grasses are there, reeds are there, the terrestrial buffer zones have tropical dry deciduous vegetation. The important flora and fauna includes the macrophytes like the water hyacinth, which is a invasive species. It is habitat for over 100 species of birds because all these wetlands, they are important sites for the birds, both migratory as well as the resident birds, including the migratory waterfowl and the bar-headed geese. It is home to 43 fish species, amphibians are there, reptiles are there, including the turtles, and it supports a balanced aquatic ecosystem with zooplankton, mollusks, and insects. The significance is that it was declared a Ramsar site in the year 2002 for its ecological importance. It provides drinking water to the significant population of Bhopal. So, Bhopal's water need is also catered to by the Hoj wetland Ramsar site. It acts as an important urban biodiversity hotspot and the bird watching area. It plays a crucial role for groundwater recharge, the climate regulation, and the pollution control in the urban landscape. It is a site faces the pressure from the urban encroachment. So it is an endangered site. It faces pressure from the increased urban encroachment, pollution, eutrophication, necessitating the conservation efforts. It is important for environmental education, recreation, and ecotourism activity. It is included under the National Plan for Conservation of Aquatic Ecosystems, that is NPCA, National Plan for Conservation of Aquatic Ecosystem. Now, second Ramsar site we have is the Sirpur Wetland Ramsar site. It is located in the Indore district and lies within the urban limits of the Indore city. So, Bhoj was in the Bhopal, the city of Bhopal, and the Sirpur Wetland Ramsar site is in the proximity of the Indore city. So, both the largest cities of the state of Madhya Pradesh houses these important Ramsar wetland sites. It is also a man-made freshwater wetland that spreads across 161 hectares. It is formed about 130 years ago during the Holkar dynasty to store water for irrigation and the city use. The Holkars, they built this lake, this man-made lake around 130 years back for storing water for irrigation and for the city use in the Indore. It is a seasonal wetland with water levels varying with rainfall. It features shallow open water zones, marshy and the grasslands. It is dominated by the aquatic vegetation because it is a wetland. It is the surrounding area support the grasses, bushes, and the few planted trees. It is a seasonal floodplain area promote the wetland herbs and shrubs. The flora and fauna includes also the aquatic species. The rich aquatic plant diversity is there, and it is an important site for the birds, both the migratory birds as well as the resident birds. It has also included the freshwater species of fishes are there, the reptiles and amphibians. Also, it supports the butterflies, the dragonflies, the zooplankton, as well as the insects. And overall, it makes this ecosystem very rich. This overall food web is very stable. Now, the Sirpur Wetland Ramsar site was declared a Ramsar site in 2022, recognizing its international importance. It has got the Ramsar status quite new or quite relatively new. It serves as critical bird habitat and acts as a biodiversity hotspot within an urban area. It plays a key role in flood control, groundwater recharge, and urban climate regulation. Okay, it is threatened by, like the Bhoj wetland, the Sirpur wetland, both of these wetlands are under pressure because of the increased urban encroachment, pollution, and unregulated tourism. The local conservation efforts have included restoration, illegal construction removal, and community engagement. Then we have the third Ramsar wetland site, that is the Sakhya or Sankhya Sagar Ramsar site. It is situated in the Shivpuri district, that is in the northern part of the state of Madhya Pradesh. It lies within the boundaries of the Madhav National Park. So when we were discussing the Madhav National Park yesterday, we have talked about this Sakhya Sagar Ramsar site. So it is also a man-made freshwater reservoir. So all these three Ramsar sites that we have discussed till now are all man-made. It was constructed in 20th century during the Sindhya rules, because in the northern part of the Madhya Pradesh, that is around the area of Gwalior and the Madhav National Park region, it was ruled by the Sindhyas, and the Sindhyas then constructed this freshwater lake. Uh, the features include the open water bodies, marshy zones, wet meadows, and dry deciduous woodland. It is part of the central Indian plateau with undulating terrain and mixed forest. Now, the type of vegetation here is the floating, submerged, and sub-emergent aquatic plants like the water lilies, the typhas, and the reeds. So, submerged, that is, the entire plant is submerged underwater. The floating ones, that is, the plants or the aquatic plant life is floating on the surface, and the emergent aquatic plants are like whose roots are there uh, uh, in the water bed below in the soil, but they are coming out of the surface. The terrestrial vegetation, tropical dry deciduous forest, and species like salai, khair, tendu, and teak are in the surrounded parkland. So it hosts the aquatic plants essential for maintaining the wetlands productivity. The algae and macrophytes provide the food and breeding ground for fish and the birds. So it is also an important bird area. Over 70 bird species, including the migratory waterfalls and the wetland specialists like the painted storks, are found here. The reptiles include the marsh crocodile, that is the mugger, which is a Scheduled 1 species under the Wildlife Protection Act. The mammals includes the wildlife of the Madhav National Park, particularly the chital, nilgai, and the langurs, which are found frequently in the freshwater proximity. It was designated as a Ramsar site in the year 2022, that is relatively new. It provides a vital habitat within an otherwise dry ecosystem. So this Madhav National Park, that is in which the Sagar Ramsar site is there. So Madhav National Park has a typical dry vegetation and dry climate or dry type of ecosystem is there. But the Sakhya Sagar Ramsar site provides the necessary habitat, the wet habitat in the drier ecosystem. So it plays a role in the local tourism and education. It acts as a biological corridor for species between the wetland as well as the surrounding forest zones. Now, it also faces threats. The threats are mainly from the invasive species, that is, water hyacinth, the pollution, and encroachment. So, all the wetlands in the country, it is a predominantly, generally speaking, they are facing stress with increased encroachment, with invasive species, as well as the pollution. Pollution, which is ultimately giving rise to the eutrophication process. Fourth, we have the Yashwant Sagar Ramsar site. It is situated in the Indore district and is located on the Gambhir River. Now, this is also a man-made reservoir, freshwater reservoir. It is constructed in 1939 by damming of the Gambhir River. It covers an area approximately 2650 hectares, so that is quite a large. It is quite a large Ramsar site. Its features include the open water bodies, shallow wetlands, marginal reed beds surrounding by the dry deciduous vegetation. So the important geographical features or thing that needs to be kept in mind is the Gambhir River. Okay, so the aquatic vegetation is there. The type of vegetation is the aquatic vegetation as well as the terrestrial vegetation that is lies in the nearby is the dry deciduous forest species. The aquatic plants, they play a critical role in supporting the food web and the nesting habitats for birds. The fauna includes the birds because the wetland is an important site for the bird. It is an important bird site. Fish, it supports the native fish varieties including the katla, rohu and the mrigal, as well as the amphibians and reptiles are present in and around the wetland. It was designated also a Ramsar site in the year 2022, recognizing as a wetland for international importance. It acts as a major bird habitat and breeding ground for several wetland-dependent bird species. It provides drinking water to Indore and supports local fisheries and agriculture. So that is its economic value, that it provides the drinking water to the city of Indore. Or this is also a freshwater ecosystem, a freshwater lake. It is considered an important bird area due to its avian diversity. The conservation concerns here are the threats due to the pesticide use, the overfishing, habitat degradation, and tourist pressure. The decline in the Sarus crane population has raised concern over the habitat management. Fifth, we have the Tawa Reservoir Ramsar site. It is located in the Narmadapuram, which was earlier known as the Hoshangabad district of Madhya Pradesh. It is situated near Itarsi at the confluence of Tawa and the Denva rivers, that it lies somewhat in the central part of the city of the state of Madhya Pradesh. It lies within the Satpura Tiger Reserve, forming a boundary between Satpura National Park and the Boli Wildlife Sanctuary. So it lies in the Satpura Tiger Reserve. So it is also a man-made freshwater reservoir created by construction of the Tawa Dam. Okay, it covers an area of approximately 20,000 hectares. It lies on the Satpura Hill Range, featuring undulating terrain. So the important geographical features here include the damming of the Tawa River, and also it lies in the inside the Satpura Tiger Reserve, and the important hill range is the Satpura Range. The type of vegetation includes the aquatic vegetation as well as the terrestrial vegetation that is in the nearby. It includes the aquatic macrophytes, which supports fish, water birds, and nutrient cycle, and surrounding forests are rich in native species and grasses. It is an important bird watching area, so important birds are there. The fishes are there, including like significant species like Tor Mahashir. The mammals include the leopard, sambar, cheetal, Indian giant squirrel, which are found in the adjoining forested area, and also the tigers because it lies in the tiger reserve. The reptiles and amphibians include frogs, turtles, and lizards. It was designated a Ramsar site in the year 2024, that is last year. It acts as a critical wetland habitat and plays a essential or critical role in flood control, groundwater recharge, and microclimate regulation. It supports fisheries, agriculture, livelihoods of the surrounding communities, several of the wildlife corridor, and it serves as the wildlife corridor and provides sustained water flow to the protected area in the Satpura landscape. So in the entire Satpura landscape, that is the Satpura National Park as well as the Satpura Tiger Reserve, this Tawa Reservoir, Ramsar site, it provides a source of fresh water in the region. It is a site for ecotourism and environmental education. Now, after discussing the Ramsar sites, the 5 or 6 Ramsar sites that are in the state of Madhya Pradesh, now let's discuss the World Heritage sites that are situated in the state of Madhya Pradesh. So the World Heritage sites, the UNESCO World Heritage sites, there are of 3 types. That is the natural heritage sites, the cultural heritage sites, and the mixed heritage sites. And Madhya Pradesh is home to 3 cultural UNESCO World Heritage sites. Okay, no natural heritage site is there in the natural UNESCO World Heritage site is there in the state of Madhya Pradesh. So the first is the Buddhist monuments at Sanchi. So on a hill overlooking the plain and about 40 kilometers from Bhopal, the site of Sanchi lies in the middle of Madhya Pradesh. It comprises of the group of Buddhist monuments, that is monolithic pillars, the palaces, the temples, and monasteries. So it is a group of monuments that has been designated as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and all different states of conservation, most of which date back to the 2nd and 1st century BCE. So it is around 1900 or 2000 years ago. So these structures are really old. It is one of the oldest Buddhist sanctuary in existence and was a major Buddhist center in India until the 12th century AD. So for around 1000 years, the area of Sanchi, or the monuments that were the Buddhist monuments that are there, they served as an important Buddhist center in India for thousands of years uh, until its decline in the 12th century. Second, we have the Khajuraho group of monuments. So these are temples at Khajuraho were built during the Chandela dynasty, which reached its apogee between the 950 to 1050 AD. Okay, around 1000 years back, the Chandela dynasty or the Chandela rulers, they built several temples in the city of Khajuraho. Only about 20 temples remain now. They fall into 3 distinct groups and belong to 2 different religions, that is Hinduism and Jainism. So the Sanchi site has Buddhist monuments, but this Khajuraho temples, it is significant for both the Hindus as well as the Jains. So they strike a perfect balance between the architecture and sculpture. The temple of Kandarya Mahadev is decorated with a profusion of sculptures that are among the greatest masterpieces of the Indian art. So Kandarya Mahadev temple is one of the important temples, one of the most important temple in the Khajuraho group of monuments. And finally, we have the ancient rock shelters of the Bhimbetka. The rock shelters of Bhimbetka are in the foothills of the Vindhyan mountain on the southern edge of the central Indian plateau. So these Bhimbetka caves are in the Vindhyan mountains, and the rock shelters are made in these Bhimbetka caves. Within the massive sandstone outcrops above the comparatively dense forest are the 5 clusters of natural rock shelters. So these are the natural rock shelters that are found in these sandstone rocks. The cultural traditions of the inhabitants of the 21 villages adjacent to the site bear a strong resemblance to those presented in the rock painting. So it is an ancient site that is significantly important, culturally important. So these were some of the important biodiversity heritage sites, the Ramsar wetland sites, and the heritage sites, the cultural heritage sites that are important from the state of Madhya Pradesh. We will be continuing this series. In the next part of this series, we will be discussing the important environmental as well as the cultural sites that are located in the state of Maharashtra. Till then, thank you.